Black Light, Cyberspace, video books, the art and science of the war between good and evil. We're going to start off with this, social science. The Caucasian has a group of scientists. They call themselves the social scientists, and what they do is they study the behavior of various parts of the city or the country, rural area, urban area. And this is when they came up with this redlining. Redlining is where the blacks stay or live in the city, not so much in the rural areas, but in the urban areas. And they came up with these code words like ghetto and urban and the minority, things like that. So that's part of warfare, or part of the science and arts of war, because they study the mental attitudes and behaviors of certain groups, sample groups that they pick out, like when they built the projects here in Detroit. That's why they call it the projects. And they built them all over the United States, and put blacks in these projects on top of each other, crammed up in there. And they got this from studying rats. They found out that these mice, or rats, or whatever you want to call them, if you could train them to behave in a certain way, and so they put them in a bunch of them in a little tight area that had a maze. And this maze was like a box, but it was, they put proportion wise more mice than the space could necessarily hold. So they would make this maze, but at the end of the opening of the maze, if the mice should find their way through the maze, there would be food there, a reward there for them. And this way they could find out the most intelligent mice. And plus, they created a culture, a behavioral pattern for the mice. And the mice, after a while, those that couldn't find their way out the maze to get the food started eating each other. This was a social science study project. And so they also know that the designs of the buildings, when you got high rises and real tall buildings and people stacked on top of each other, and you could put 1 million people in a space, that it becomes a dog-eat-dog type of situation. But those who find their way, or designed it, first of all, those that designed the maze, they would play tricks on those that wasn't so intelligent and couldn't find their way out, or couldn't find their way on top of the situation. So the Caucasians, it's still this project is still going on. Each generation, it goes through each generation. So the generation that's living now, they're doing the same thing that my generation did, but we never did live. We lived in Black Bottom, which is, just where black people live. These brothers in Black Bottom, man, they were they were hustlers, you know, and very wise. Some of them had jobs, and some of them, you know, hustled. But we never did live in the projects. You know, we lived in a single dwelling home, and so I never experienced it. But I hung around. I had friends in the projects, and so this is what we're going to be talking about on this portion of the war between good and evil. But we're going to entitle this Social Science. Black light out.